Whew. So I was very hesitant to do this video, but because I was working at a school, first as a teacher, and then during the last election, I was actually principal, I think it's definitely something that we need to address. So today, we're talking about how to handle the election as a teacher. If you're new to my channel, my name is Vimbo, and on Sundays, I release new videos that are titled Teacher Talk. I worked in education as an elementary teacher and then as a school principal for 5 years. And I currently do not work in education, but I still love sharing tips and things that I learned in my time in the classroom and in the principal's office. So let's jump right into it. Today, I am sharing 3 tips for how to handle this election season as an educator. I will say, first and foremost, don't come for me in the comments. I was like, should I make this video? Yes, because I feel like the point of my channel is not only to spread positivity and sprinkle sunshine, it's also to be relevant. And I want to talk about things that are happening and process it with you guys, honestly. At the same time, do not come for me in the comments. I will delete you. This is not meant to be a political video, as in, listen, I don't want to talk specifically about the candidates because YouTube and the internet is honestly a very scary place right now. And it's sad that I even have to say that. But this is not that. This is a conversation about how you, if you are watching this and you are an educator and you have little ones coming into your classroom every day, how can you handle this time with grace? I want to put this out there as well because I looked at my analytics and there are people who watch my videos from Australia and South Africa. And so you're probably like, what the heck is going on? Right now, in the next few weeks, we are about to elect our next president, who would be installed in January. You probably already know that, regardless of where you live in the world. However, it is honestly the most contentious election of my lifetime. And it is only I believe this would be the 4th election that I can vote for. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I voted in the last 3. The 4th presidential election I could vote for because we have other elections every other year. However, I digress. Getting back to the point, I want to share 3 things for teachers to handle this election season with your class, no matter what age they are, with grace and to protect your mental health even, and in a way that I feel like you'll make it through. So the first tip I have for you, if you are in the classroom and you are a teacher, is number 1, remember that your students are often parroting what they have received at home, regardless of whichever candidate or side they are talking about. And I'm talking about as young as 1st and 2nd graders. I was teaching very early elementary students during the last election. Oh my goodness, I'm mixing it up. No, I was teaching very young elementary students 2 elections ago. And so the things these little 1st graders were coming into my classroom and saying, I know for sure, based on, just being their teacher every single day, was not necessarily things they felt, but things they were seeing on the news and things that their parents were saying. So my first tip is, I implore you to have the mindset that whether your students are 5 years old or 15 years old, they're being heavily influenced by their parents, by the news, by TikTok, by conspiracy theories, by Twitter. And so in that, I would just really encourage you to not, I don't want to say don't put weight into what your students say, but to also take what they're saying with a grain of salt and kind of don't hold it against them. Because if you're not careful, your own feelings politically about certain issues could really impact the way that you feel about a student or frustration about a student. So the first thing I would say is just don't take things personal, and also realize that your students, more than anything, are very, very impressionable, and they are just absorbing a lot of chaos and toxicity that is in the world today. I will also say, when I was in school and before I was voting age, I do not remember the political climate being this toxic. So our students are also dealing with a lot of things we didn't have to deal with when we were younger. So just keep that in mind. That would be the first thing. And with that in mind, I would also say, as part of tip number 1, I don't know that this is the election that you go ahead and have a mock election in your classroom where you actually vote for the candidates. Just because, like I said, it's just so... This is just an election like we've never seen before. It doesn't mean avoid the hard conversations. It doesn't mean don't talk about them. But I do think, I'm not sure that very positive things could come out of that interaction. So my second suggestion I would actually have is that, and this is something I've done in different school settings, and there are lots of resources online. I will share them in the links below, but you can do mock elections around random issues in your school, because the great thing about an election is students suddenly are very interested in the voting process. They're interested in, I've seen middle schoolers just like suddenly care about the Electoral College, suddenly care about the history of things. And so it was a really fun time. I remember teaching middle school at some point. I taught 5th grade, and we definitely spent some time talking about things we would vote for within our own school. And so whether it was the walls, what color we would paint them, or whether or not, I worked at a private school at that time. And so one of the things we voted on was whether or not we would allow for one day a week to be a casual dress down day instead of having to wear school uniforms. And so I think there are a lot of ways to teach civic responsibility, to teach students that they are part of a community and that their voice and their vote is important, without necessarily getting into the muck and the mire, which is our current political climate in the United States. So the second thing I would say is, don't lose this opportunity to really hone in on something that the students might actually be very interested in this moment, because the election is such a big topic. But the third thing I would say, and honestly, y'all, just do you. What I'm putting out here is advice. It's just that. Do what makes sense to you. But the third thing I would say is I would be very careful in even my personal life, but definitely who you are at school, to not disparage people who feel politically different from you. Whether it's a public school, whether it's a private school, whether you're in a homeschool co-op. One thing that scares me about our current political climate is people are so comfortable saying, if you voted for this person, or if you are this political party, then you are the scum of the earth, then you are a terrible human being. And, I have my own opinions because I'm a human being, and I have my own political persuasion. However, I think it's very dangerous to cast 50% of the entire United States, if the polling is at all correct, and honestly, probably 50% of the students that walk into your classroom, as less than, as not human. Because honestly, that is what leads to things like World War II and the Holocaust and genocide and things we're even seeing in our world today. That's what leads to that, is when you see other people as not human because they believe differently than you. And so I would just implore you, I think for your own mental health, to actually not, as much as possible, put down whole other groups of people or whole systems of belief, especially to your students. Because I believe, and this is true of every teacher friend I know, we really want what's best for our students, and we really want them to be able to critically think and evaluate decisions for themselves. Regardless of whichever side you are on politically, you want to equip your students with the ability to think for themselves. You can absolutely engage with politics and what's happening in our elections in a way that is civil, especially if you have like middle school and high school students. You can absolutely have difficult conversations. But as a teacher, I think it's very important to, as much as possible, I don't want to say stay neutral, but kind of, because in a way, your students, imagine if your student feels politically different than you and you come out strong feeling one way, then suddenly your classroom is no longer a safe place for them to even explore those ideas. And we already know, like, the internet, y'all, you see how I'm making this video, like, the internet is not a safe space. This is not a safe place. My YouTube channel is, like I said, I will block and delete. I do not care. Like, this is really who I am. I will absolutely block you and delete you if you put any negativity out there. That is not the point of this channel. The point of this channel is to put out positivity and encourage people who are in education as well. That's why I do these Sunday talks. But I do want to say, like, apart from those 3 tips about how to engage in this election, this is my little pep talk. If you were a teacher on my staff and I were your principal and we were meeting for our staff meeting, this is what I would say. What you are doing right now is hard. Seeing your little ones, loving on them. We know what it is to work in the classroom, having them walk in and day out. You know, some of them don't get food at home. Some of them are in really difficult home situations. Some of them are bullied at school. You know, there's a lot that you as a teacher are already dealing with. This election is really heavy, and it has a lot of implications for what will happen next. So my pep talk to you as a teacher is, separate from what you do in the classroom and how you engage with your students, take care of you. Like, this is the time of the school year when you are counting down the days until your next break and you feel like you could scream because the first quarter of the year is probably done or wrapping up, and parent-teacher conferences might be around the corner from you. I know what the schedule looks like, y'all. Like, I was in the trenches. Be kind to yourself. Know that you're going to make it through. This too shall pass. This election season is just that. Just like fall, winter, spring, and summer, it'll pass. And, you know, just like every other thing we thought we wouldn't make it through. If you were teaching during the pandemic, if you were in education during the pandemic, as I was, there's so many things we've already been through. This too will pass. So if you need to, I am giving you permission to unfollow those people on Facebook or Instagram or wherever that are just spewing out hate. Even if they agree with you, unfollow them. This is your permission to delete Twitter or Threads or wherever you are feeling negative energy. There's a way to be informed without always having it on your phone and in your face. And if that's what it takes, if your algorithms aren't algorithming, this is my pep talk to you to say, take a deep breath, take a step back, protect your mental health, and also realize that the day after the election, it is quite possible, if you live in most of the United States, half of your class will be very disappointed. And how you lead during that time in your classroom with your students is going to be really important, and send a message to those kids that they are loved, that they are in a safe space. If you do it well, if you continue to care for them, if you continue to show them that love that I'm sure you're doing every day, then they will know that they have a safe place in this world. And I think that's ultimately what's really important at this time. So I just got chills because that kind of made me miss being, you know, in that admin role when I got to encourage teachers. That was really fun and very special to me. But you, my YouTube teacher friends who are watching this, I hope you receive that message from the bottom of my heart. And I am a praying woman, and I'm just praying that not just as educators, as human beings, as citizens of the United States, that y'all, we gonna make it. I do not know how November 6th is gonna look the day after the election, but we will make this, and you can absolutely do this job with integrity and help your kids become better human beings and give them the tools that they need to think about the really tough stuff. I'm going to leave you with this before I end. One of my friends, she is a therapist. Shout out to Shanti. She used to say this quote that I always grappled with. She said, anything that we can talk to adults about, she really believes that you can talk to children about in an age-appropriate way. And just thinking of the election, I actually think that is true. And I do think that's true. Every single topic we can distill to a way that is age appropriate, that engages our students in a way that is honoring of who they are and what they might believe, while also giving them the tools they need to think critically. So take that with you, do with that what you may. You are the expert, you are the teacher, you know what your kids need. And I trust you. If no one's told you that today, I trust you. I believe in your abilities, and I hope you have peace in your setting, in your classroom, with your students. And I hope you know you will make it through this. So I hope you join me again on this channel. Every Wednesday, I have a positive Wednesday word I share. And every Sunday, I've got teacher talk. So come back for more. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And until then, I hope I sprinkled a little sunshine in your life. But I also hope that you go and sprinkle some sunshine in someone else's life. Bye for now.